This is TechCrunch. On Friday, a startup called Fable announced an ambition, if head-scratching, plan to recreate the lost 43 minutes of Orson Welles' classic film, The Magnificent Ambersons. Why is a startup that bills itself as the Netflix of AI and that recently raised money from Amazon's Alexa fund talking about remaking a movie that was first released in 1942? Well, the company has built a platform that allows users to create their own cartoons with AI prompts. Fable is starting out with its own intellectual property, but it has ambitions to offer similar capabilities with Hollywood IP. In fact, it's already been used to create unauthorized South Park episodes. Now, Fable is launching a new AI model that can supposedly generate long, complex narratives. Over the next 2 years, filmmaker Brian Rose, who has already spent 5 years working to digitally reconstruct Wells's original vision, plans to use that model to remake the lost footage from The Magnificent Ambersons. Remarkably, Fable has not obtained the rights to the film, making this a prospective tech demo that will probably never be released to the general public. Why Ambersons? Well, if you're not a Wells-loving cinephile, I'm guessing it sounds like an obscure choice for digital resurrection, right? Even among classic movie buffs, Wells's second film is overshadowed by its older, more famous sibling. While Citizen Kane is often called the greatest movie ever made, Ambersons is remembered as a lost masterpiece that the studio took out of the director's hands, dramatically cutting it down and adding an unconvincing happy ending. The movie's reputation, the sense of loss and what could have been, is presumably what interested Fable and Rose. But it is worth emphasizing that the only reason we care about the magnificent Ambersons today is because of Wells, because of how it derailed his Hollywood career, and how, even in its diminished form, it still reveals so much of his filmmaking genius. That makes it even more astonishing that Fable apparently failed to reach out to Wells's estate. David Reeder, who handles the estate for Wells's daughter, Beatrice, describes the project to Variety as an attempt to generate publicity on the back of Wells's creative genius, and said that it will amount to nothing more than a purely mechanical exercise without any of the uniquely innovative thinking of a creative force like Wells. Despite Reeder's criticism, he seems less upset by the idea of attempting to recreate Ambersons and more by the fact that the estate was not even given the courtesy of a heads up. After all, he noted, the estate has embraced AI technology to create a voice model intended to be used for VO work with brands. Now, many are not so open-minded. Even if Wells's heirs were being consulted and compensated, well, many would have zero interest in this new Ambersons, just as many have zero interest in hearing a digital simulacrum of Wells's legendary voice being used to hawk new products. Now, Wells fans know that this is not the first time other filmmakers have tried to posthumously fix or finish his movies, but at least those attempts used footage that Wells had shot himself. Fable, meanwhile, describes its planned approach as a hybrid of AI and traditional filmmaking. Apparently, some scenes will be reshot with contemporary actors whose faces will then be swapped for digital recreations of the original cast. Despite the absurdity of announcing a project like this without the film rights or the blessing of Wells's daughter, at least Rose seems motivated by a genuine desire to honor the director's vision. For example, in a statement about why he wants to recreate the film, Rose mourned the destruction of a 4-minute-long, unbroken moving camera shot, whose loss is a tragedy, with only 50 seconds of the shot remaining in the recut film. No matter how convincingly Fable and Rose may be able to stitch together their own version of that tracking shot, it will be their shot, not Wells's, filled with Frankenstein replicas of Joseph Cotton and Agnes Moorehead, not the actors themselves. their final product will not be Wells's version of the magnificent Ambersons that RKO destroyed more than 80 years ago. Barring a miraculous rediscovery of lost footage, that version is gone forever. That's it from TechCrunch. For more bite-sized, crunchable tech stories like these, go to TechCrunch.com.